Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Novel Nana. I'm Bex. In today's video, I will be sharing my opinion and my experience of what drafting is. The zero to the finish line, basically. But first, let me just put out a disclaimer here. I'm sure there are many ways to draft. Everyone's process is different. And what they see as drafting to finish, those steps along the way may be more steps or fewer, depending on their experience and their education, many factors. But basically what I wanted to say is I know that my viewers are probably more on maybe the same age range, or at least, that's the way I feel about it anyway. I think that most of my viewers are on the older side. I may have some young ones out there, and I'm so glad to have you. But, I'm not a published author. I have written many books, and some are still in various stages of drafting. But what I wanted to say today is that, I know that some things, some topics out there in this writing community, they have been talked about over and over and over. But everyone's experience is different. So I don't feel like it's redundant. I feel like if you can, share your experience, not necessarily give advice because I really don't have credentials to do so, but what I do have is a lot of experience, and I do have my own opinion. And so I am sharing that with my fellow newbies, those who, are published and whatnot, and have already went through all of this process. You may not get a lot of use out of my videos, but I'm here for your entertainment anyway. You can laugh at the Novel Nana and kind of follow my progress as I go. But more or less, I'm just here sharing my experiences, and what I learn, I try to pass on to my fellow newbies. So anywho, with that being said, guys, one more quick thing I do want to say is that I cannot retain a lot of information, new information. I have a crap memory. And so, I know that I have some weird quirks. I know that I say a lot. I don't know how to edit yet. But when I do, you guys will be along with me for the journey, and the videos will only get better and smoother. At least that's the hope. But as of right now, I am sharing my process as raw and real as it is. There's no smoke, there's no mirrors. This is me. This is the real process and my experience, my journey. And I am so happy to have you here, to come along with me on this journey. And if I can pass any information along to fellow newbies and that maybe can learn from my mistakes, or if I can share any insight or, any of my experiences that they might be able to take away something inspirational from, I'm all for it. I've never claimed to be professional. I have said many times that I have not been published. I believe that I will be one day. That is the goal for writing. But I do just want to say that I don't retain information very well. So when you see me with boards behind me with a lot of information, sometimes it's because I have to write stuff down. I have to read it and share that information with you, because I know that I can't just sit down in front of a camera and share that information off the top of my head. So when I do have these ideas and things for videos, I do like to jot them down on a whiteboard and share them with you. If this is not the kind of stuff that you like, I'm really sorry, guys, but this is what I have. I know that I do different sorts of videos, but, when I do the whiteboard videos, I do hope that at least, if nothing else, maybe it's for your entertainment, and you can maybe, have fun with how many times I say, make it into a game. Wink, wink. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video. I know it's already going to be incredibly long. And as I said, my videos are for the newbies like me, those taking this journey, taking this step, trying something different, trying something new. And we're not part of that young in crowd. We don't, we're not published yet, or maybe we don't know all the ins and outs, but we're learning as we go. And I'm happy to share my journey, and I'm happy to have you guys along for the ride. So with that being said, this is what I have experienced, the zero draft, first draft, and second draft to be. I'm sure there are many, many versions of this, but for me, this is my understanding of it, my opinion only. So take it with a grain of salt. But anywho, so the zero draft. A lot have asked me already, what exactly is the difference between a zero draft and a first draft? So I'm going to try to explain this the best way I can. I am sorry about the glare on the board, but I'm going to read it to you anyway, so maybe that'll help. I will turn this little light on to see if that makes it any lighter for you. I don't know. I don't know if that made it better or worse, guys, but just bear with me. We're going to get through this pretty quick, I hope. So anyway, the zero draft is basically the loose compilation of an all-out brain dump, basically, of any and all story ideas that you can think of, whether they be plot-related or character-related or, any dialogue, any bits and pieces, any part of a story that comes to mind, and you find yourself grabbing a piece of paper and writing it down. Keep all of those things in one place because you can use those to form a zero draft. So anyway, loose compilation of an all-out brain dump of any and all ideas, anything story related. It doesn't necessarily have to be in chronological order because sometimes scenes come to you, out of order. But anyway, so write those down. It's all the bits and pieces of the story, whether that be character, plot, conflict, whatever, and it's all dumped into one place. This is basically the gathering. You're gathering little bits and pieces of your story. It is the loose telling of the story beginning to end, or at least with whatever limited information you have, you're going to tell the story using the scraps. So moving on to the first draft. So this is the first attempt at adding scenes after you have read everything you have put down, all the information that you have gathered for your zero draft. So you're going to use your zero draft by reading everything you have, and you're going to make a first draft from the zero draft. So this is where this is your first attempt of adding scenes, sometimes deleting or rearranging scenes and story elements to the story as you know it. Okay, then you're going to go and flesh out a few more bits, maybe expansion of some scenes or dialogue. This is also where you're going to connect those dots. Maybe you have a point A and a point C, but there's really no scene in the middle to bridge those two scenes. So you know that that's where in your first draft, you're going to be trying to connect the dots. Let's see. It's also the combining of the zero draft with any new information or ideas that you've come up with and putting those in sequential order to the best of your ability and the best of your knowledge of where your story is going. So this is also your first attempt at getting the full story on paper, beginning to end. Now, after you have done this, it's best to just let it simmer. Just wait. Some people say wait 2 weeks, some say a month, 30 days. It's really up to you. But again, any information that you come up with within that 30 days, just jot it down because you can always put it in later in different drafts. Okay, so the second draft, you are going to reread everything that you had for the first draft. Then with that first draft, you're going to take notice. So I want you to get out a pen and paper. This is what worked for me when you're rereading. And just anytime that you're skimming or you're reading it and you come across something that maybe didn't make sense or you found to be arbitrary or just not fitting anymore, or maybe it was redundant, or maybe it needs to be clarified, or maybe it doesn't really make sense after all, or maybe you realize that, I don't know, maybe one of the characters just is not really feeling all that real, you know. Make little notes of that. Jot it down as you go. Okay. So the first draft, you're going to take notice of any ideas that come to mind, any new direction that you see the story going in. Jot that down as well. See where the scenes can be added or where they need to be cut. Let's see. Take note of anything glaring or anything that isn't consistent within the story. Also, ask yourself, are there things that need to be clarified? Are there things that don't make sense? Are there things or something that you do need to flesh out more, whether that be a plot or a subplot or maybe even a character? Ask yourself, is there something that you need to flesh out more or get rid of altogether? Are there any redundancies, or does the pacing fit the scenes? Does it move the plot along? The scenes, are they completely necessary to move that plot along? If you were to remove one of those scenes, does the story still make sense? These are things you want to ask yourself. Is the plot solid, or are you finding plot holes? Are your characters flat, or are they fully fleshed out in three-dimensional? Also, ask yourself about, is the motivation clear about your character for them going after their goal? Have you stated the goal? Let's see. Does your character have agency? Let's see. After you read and make notes, you're going to go in and fix any issues that you might have, clean it up to the very best of your ability. And this is when you're going to revise everything that you have and rewrite it once more. Now, this is where we go on. Now, this part right here, I will tell you right now, there's really no limit of how many drafts you can make of a story. It's going to really be up to you as the writer when you feel that you have told the best story possible and in the best way that you could possibly tell it. You know, you're going to want to think, you know, is your MC the person's perspective that you really do care about, that you want to know? Or is another character maybe overshadowing them? So does your MC really need to be the MC? Also, you could ask yourself things like, I'm sorry, guys, I get off topic all the time. Let me read this first. Third draft. This is the draft that you will send out to your betas. So after you get your feedback in, you implement the changes and you edit it again. You can remove any of your info dumps, exposition, filter words, cliches, grammar, spelling, and punctuation, mistakes, and remove any unnatural or clunky dialogue, things that don't sound right. You don't want your characters to sound like robots reading off of a script. You want it to sound natural, but you're going to want to try to take out the things like me, you know, the real life me saying, or whatever. Unless it's part of their character, you know, if that's one of their things, then by all means, leave it in. But anyway, remove any unnatural or clunky dialogue or odd wording or phrases, then revise, rewrite, and repeat that beta process. Now, this is what I'm talking about, that this can be third draft, fourth draft, fifth draft, however many drafts it takes for you to be satisfied with the story that you are telling. But anyway, so when you are satisfied with it, that's when you're going to send it off for that professional edit. When the editor gives you the feedback, you know, you're going to revise and rewrite whatever elements of the story you need to. Then you can send that version off to your alpha readers. Then when you get their feedback, you'll do one final edit, you'll revise and rewrite, and that is your final draft. So with that final draft, hopefully, if you've already had it looked at and edited to the best of your own ability and polished it and made it as clean as possible as you could, and then sent it off to the editor for that professional edit, that last cleaning and tweaking, you have a final draft. Now, no matter how many, if it takes third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever, 10, it doesn't matter. It's literally whenever you feel that your story has progressed in a way that is natural, that is, you know, fitting and satisfying to you and your characters and the story that you were trying to tell. So that's my spiel, guys. I'm done with it. let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. You know, I appreciate any and all comments. You know, if you can educate me on something, I'm here to learn, guys. So that's all I have for you today. If you do like this kind of video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you want to, and hit that notification bell. It'll let you know the next time I upload. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I do so appreciate each and every one of you. And that's all I have for today, guys. So I'll see you in the next one. And have a good day and happy writing. Bye, guys.